I mean, the point around testing things before you invest too heavily in your marketing, I think is an interesting one. I think there are, to be honest, quite a lot of tactics within B2B marketing which are relatively low cost. So, the potential to, start seeding out content based on certain themes and gathering feedback, you've got quite a lot of opportunity there. And, so when I talk about things, a webinar platform is relatively, you can get those relatively cheaply. Writing a blog and publishing it on your website and sharing that, via your internal staff, via social, or then if you want to get an email automation platform and sending that out, that's relatively cheap. And then, I mean, using your colleagues, your staff, your teams, connections with the industry to gather some of that feedback, I think is, that can be quite effective. I think once that initial input starts coming in, I agree, you can sort of double down on specific themes and start investing against them. But I think, it's not that challenging to get a good idea of what are the major themes that matter within your market. I mean, my personal view and personal experience is the more challenging thing is, what's your unique thing that you've got to say on that? What's your unique value add? So, I think, like I said, I've worked in financial markets a lot, and so the examples I have are always tend to be around. I mean, we've done lots of stuff around regulation, because well, basically since the financial crash, a big perennial theme in financial services has been regulation. So everyone tended to want to consume content about that. So that was always an easy one to jump on. And in some of my roles, I've been lucky that the business I've worked for, we've had a strong content, and a strong view and a strong perspective to add on how firms can solve for those regulations. But I think if you're in B2B particularly, there's industry publications that you can source from. There's conferences. There's as long as you're engaging with the industry, I don't think personally the challenge is so much, are we talking about the right are we talking about the right thing? It's not so much, is this the right challenge or opportunity that our market's facing. It's much more, is what we're producing going to make a splash, or is it going to sort of land without an impact? Like, are we spending 60 grand on producing a white paper with some third party, and actually that white paper is a bit like every other company's white paper? And by the way, I've done that too. So, like I don't have all the answers. I've certainly made my mistakes, but I think my in terms of sort of where I'd focus as you're building out your content plan around your marketing, I think the conversation around what are the major themes that our audience cares about should be relatively short, and you can source those, and you can test them by building content and seeing what engages people. But I think that's sort of the easier bit. I think the harder bit is really is the content creation and making sure you've got something that adds a perspective.